तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
In the last lecture, we saw about generating functions and what is the ordinary enumerator using some indicator functions for a sequence. And we also saw how they are related to the number of combinations of R objects out of n objects, because if you expand 1 plus x power n, you get the coefficient as CNR. So, we saw that connection. So, for finding out the number of combinations, you can use the ordinary generating functions. This is what we have seen in the last lecture. Today, we shall see how you can use the idea of a generating function for finding out the number of permutations. So, for this we have to define another type of a generating function called the exponential enumerator. So, let us see what it is. What will be the enumerator for permutations? This is what we are going to see today. So, a generating function for the permutation, suppose you are having two objects A and B, then it should be of the form 1 plus A plus Bx plus AB plus BAx squared. Suppose you are having two objects AB, then if you do not have any of them, then there is only one way of doing it, and if you have one of them, either you can put A or you can put B. If you have two of them, you can arrange them in this way, either A in the order AB or in the order BA. So, if you want to represent this as a generating function, it should be of this form, but numerically or mathematically this polynomial is equivalent to this polynomial, because numerically you do not distinguish between AB and BA. So, this will be represented as 2AB x squared, but that is not what you want. You want AB and BA to be distinguished. This the two distinct permutation AB and BA can no longer be recognized. This is what you do not want. You want them to be distinguished. AB and BA should be distinguished. So, in general, if you want to have a enumerator for the permutations, looking back, then the enumerator for combinations is, you have a formula like this where you had Cn0, Cn1, etc. So, a direct extension of the notion of the enumerators for combinations indicates that an enumerator for the permutation of n distinct objects should have the form like this. F of x is equal to Pn0 x0, which this gives the number of 0 objects out of n objects. This gives the number of permutation of one object out of n objects. This gives the number of permutation of two objects out of n objects, and that should be the coefficient of x squared if you want the permutations to be defined. And if you write the formula for n0, n1, n2, etc., you know that Pn1 is n factorial by n minus 1 factorial, Pn2 is n factorial by n minus 2 factorial, and so on. In that case, you do not have a closed form expression for this. There is no simple closed form expression for f of x if you represent f of x in this manner. See, unless we have a closed form expression, we cannot use for calculation. So, it is better to have a closed form expression. But we know that 1 plus x power n is equal to 1 plus Cn1 x plus Cn2 x squared. This is the binomial expansion. This we know. From this you get this. What is Cn1? Cn1 is Pn1 by 1 factorial, Cn2 is Pn2 by 2 factorial. The number of permutations is the number of permutation of 2 objects out of n object is, you select 2 objects out of n objects and permute them. That can be done in 2 factorial ways. So, Cn2 will be equal to Pn2 by 2 factorial. This we have already seen. So, this is the equal to 1 plus x power n, but here we are able to get the value of Pn1, Pn2, Pn3 etc. This motivates defining another kind of generating function called the exponential generating function. So, for permutations we need to define another kind of generating function known as the exponential generating function. Let A0, A1, A2, AR be the symbolic representation of a sequence of events or simply a sequence of numbers. Then you look at the function f of x is equal to A0 by 0 factorial mu naught x, A1 by 1 factorial mu 1 x, A2 by 2 factorial mu 2 x and so on. The general term is AR by r factorial into mu r x. This is called the exponential generating function of the sequence A0, A1, A2, AR etc. with the indicator functions mu naught x, mu 1 x, mu 2 x and so on. As you see, in the case of ordinary enumerator it will be A0 mu naught x, A1 mu 1 x etc. In the case of exponential enumerator it is A0 by 0 factorial mu naught x, A1 by 1 factorial mu 1 x and so on. Usually it is always advisable to take the indicator functions as 1 x, x squared, x cubed etc. Thus, 1 plus x power n is the exponential enumerator or the exponential generating function for PNRs with the powers of x as the indicator functions. That is x, x squared, x cubed etc. are the indicator functions. Similarly, an exponential generating function that gives the number of combinations or permutations is called an exponential enumerator. So, for finding out the permutations, you use the exponential enumerator. When repetitions are allowed in the permutations, we can see the extension easily. The exponential enumerator for the permutation of all of p objects, all p of p identical objects is x power p by p factorial. That is, the answer is 1. There is only one way of doing it. If you have p identical objects, if you arrange them, there is only one way of doing it. So, the exponential enumerator for that is x power p by p factorial by our definition of exponential enumerator. Thus, the exponential enumerator for the permutation of none, 1, 2 etc. p of p identical objects is given by this formula or this expression 1. It is all whether you take 2 or 3 or 4 identical objects and permute them, the answer is only 1. So, you have 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial x, 1 by 2 factorial x squared, 1 by 3 factorial x cubed and so on, and 1 by p factorial x power p. Similarly, the exponential enumerator for the permutation of all of p plus q objects with p of them of one kind and q of them of another kind is x power p by p factorial, x power q by q factorial, which is given by x power p plus q by p factorial by q factorial. See, by the rule of product, if you have p identical objects of one kind, this is the first kind, and q identical objects, they are of the second kind, then the number of ways of arranging these 1, 2, 3, 4 of these objects is given by, or if you take all the p of them, it is given by x power b by p factorial. If you take 1, 2, 3, 4 of them, that is given by the expression 1 plus 1 by 1 factorial x plus 1 by 2 factorial x squared and so on. So, when you take all the p of them, the exponential enumerator is this. Similarly, you have q identical objects of the second kind. If you take all the q of them and arrange them, the number of ways of doing it is only one, that is x power q by q factorial. If you take p of them and q of them, the p plus q of them and arrange them, that should be this, and that is x power p plus q by p factorial q factorial. This you can write as p plus q factorial by p factorial q factorial and x power p plus q by p plus q factorial, right. So, the number of permutations of p plus q objects, of which p of them are identical and q of them are identical, but of a different type, given by this formula. We have seen this formula earlier also. So, you see how you get this using the idea of an exponential generating function. Let us consider a small problem. What is the exponential enumerator for the permutations of 2 objects of one kind and 3 objects of another kind? So, you are having 2 objects of one kind and 3 objects of another kind. What is the exponential enumerator for this? Now, for the first one, the exponential enumerator will be 1 by 1 factorial x by 1 by 2 factorial x squared, because you are having 2 of them, it will be this. Then the second one, you are having 3 of them. So, the exponential enumerator for that will be 1 by 1 factorial x plus 1 by 2 factorial x squared plus 1 by 3 factorial x cube. Now, multiply this, you will get 1 plus, what is the coefficient of x? 1 by 1 factorial plus 1 by 1 factorial x plus 1 by 1 factorial into 1 by 1 factorial plus 1 by 2 factorial plus 1 by 2 factorial x squared plus, what is the coefficient of x cubed? 1 by 2 factorial 1 by 1 factorial x squared into x into x squared, that will be again 1 by 1 factorial 1 by 2 factorial plus x cubed into 1, that is 1 by 3 factorial x cubed plus power of 4 and power of 5 will be 1 by 2 factorial 3 factorial x power 5. This is the exponential enumerator. So, suppose I want to pick 2 of them out of these 5 and arrange them. In how many ways can you do that? You can pick 2 like this, or you can pick 2 of them from the other set, or you can pick 2, one from this, one from this, in this which case you can arrange like this. Yes, the answer is 4. Do you get 4 here? It should be the coefficient of this. So, you write as an exponential enumerator. So, as an exponential enumerator, you write like this. The answer should be the answer, if I say answer into x squared by 2 factor. It should be like this. The answer you get should be like this. So, if you write 2 factorial, you have to multiply by 2 factorial here. So, in that case, you get 2 plus 1 equal to 4. So, that verifies this. So, the exponential enumerator for permutation of 2 objects of one kind and 3 objects of another kind is given by this product, and if you take the coefficient of say x power r, what some coefficient will be there, that into r factorial will give you the number of permutations. Because you have to express an exponential enumerator in this manner, right. So, the coefficient of x power r in this product multiplied by r factorial will give you the number of permutations. So, the number of r permutations of n distinct objects with unlimited repetition is given by the exponential enumerator like this. So, you are having n objects and each object you can repeat any number of times. So, if for the first object the exponential enumerator will be 1 plus x squared plus 2 factorial etc. Second object again it is the same, like that for each one of the objects. So, this power n, but we know that the closed form expression for this is e power x. So, you have e power x into n or e power nx, and the power of x power r in this is given by n power r by r factorial. E power nx you can write as sigma r is equal to 0 to infinity n power r by r factorial into x power r. So, looking at it as a exponential enumerator, this gives the number of ways of permuting r objects out of n objects with unlimited repetitions. This you can very easily see. Suppose I have to fill r places and I have n object, I have unlimited, I have n objects say a1, a2, an, I can have unlimited repetition. Then the first place can be filled in n ways, second place can be filled in n ways and so on. The rth place can be filled in n ways. So, the answer you get is n power r, and that is what you get here, n power r. So, the same results which we obtained earlier in an ordinary manner, now we are using the exponential enumerator to get the same answer. Now, this idea of exponential enumerator we can use for finding the distribution of distinct objects into non-distinct cells. Earlier we considered distribution of distinct objects into distinct cells, and we also considered the distribution of non-distinct objects into distinct cells. So, what we considered earlier is this: distinct or non-distinct objects, both we have considered earlier, into distinct cells. Now, this idea of generating function you can use to find the distribution of distinct or non-distinct objects into non-distinct cells. So, the next thing we will consider is distribution of distinct or non-distinct objects into non-distinct cells. So, the first we consider the distribution of distinct objects into non-distinct cells. How the idea of exponential enumerator you can use. The number of ways of distributing r distinct objects into n distinct cells. First we considered r distinct objects and n distinct cells, then we will consider the non-distinct cells. So, that no cell is empty and the order of the object within a cell is not important. This is what we will consider first. This problem can be used as finding the number of r permutation of the n distinct cells, each cell included at least once in the permutation. So, the exponential enumerator for the permutation is given by this. Each cell has to be included at least once. So, you do not have to start with 1, you start with x straight away. So, x plus x squared by 2 factorial, this is for one cell. So, n distinct cells, for n cells you have this. And the simplification of the expression within the bracket is e power x minus 1. and if you expand it will be sigma I is equal to 0 to n ni minus 1 power I e power n minus 1 into x, n minus I into x. And again simplifying this will be this and if you expand this will be r is equal to 0 to infinity 1 by r factorial n minus I power r x power r. Rearranging x power r by r factorial here, taking this and this here and rearranging, you will get this. The number of ways of placing r distinct object into n distinct cells with no cell left empty is equal to this expression. That is, see, you have to take the this is the answer. The answer into x power r by r factorial will give you the sigma r is equal to 0 to infinity, and the coefficient of this x power r, the term for x power r is x power r by r factorial and this will give you the required answer, right. So, we are not considering non-distinct cells now, we are considering distinct cells. So, this expression gives you the answer that you can write as n factorial into SRN. This is for non-distinct, this is for distinct cells. So, when you want to say that the cells are all identical or they are non-distinct cells, you have to divide it by n factorial, right. So, this should be divided by n factorial to get you the answer when you want to distribute n distinct r distinct object into n non-distinct cells. And this is written as n factorial, this whole expression is written as n factorial into SRN, where SRN are known as Stirling's number of the second kind. And SRN is 1 by n factorial you bring this side, sigma I is equal to 0 to n minus 1 power I n c n I n minus I power r. These Stirling numbers are calculated for different values of r and n, and for example, SRN, if you take S84, the value is 1701. If you take S106, the value is 22827 and so on. There is a table which gives you the Stirling numbers for different values. So, what we have just now considered is distribution of distinct objects into non-distinct cells. So, if you want to distribute r distinct object into n distinct cells with no cells left empty, the answer is given by the Stirling number, which is denoted as SRN. The number of ways of placing r distinct objects into n non-distinct cells with no cell left empty is equal to SRN, and we have already seen that SRN is this, bringing this n factorial this side, it is 1 by n factorial sigma I is equal to 0 to n minus 1 power I c n I n minus I power r. Next is, we have considered the distribution of distinct objects into non-distinct cells. Next, we should consider the distribution of non-distinct objects into non-distinct cells, that is really known as partition of integers. So, we will consider that next. What do you mean by partition of integers? A partition of an integer is a division of the integer into positive integral parts in which the order of these parts is not important. So, it is equivalent to having distribution of non-distinct objects into non-distinct cells. For example, if we take the number 4, it can be partitioned as 4 plus 0 or that is just 4 alone, or it can be partitioned as 3 plus 1, or it can be partitioned as 2 plus 2, or 2 plus 1 plus 1, or it can be partitioned as 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. These are the 5 ways of partitioning the integer 4. Either you can have just 4 alone, or you can split it as 3 and 1, or split it as 2 and 2, or split it as 2, 1, 1, or 1, 1, 1, 1. So, the number of different partitions is 5 here, the answer is 5 here. This is also the number of ways of distributing different or non-distinct object into cells, non-distinct cells. Some of the cells can be empty also here. It is clear that the partition of the integer n is equivalent to a way of distributing n non-distinct objects into n non-distinct cells with empty cells allowed. Okay. So, this is what we are going to consider, and let us see how you can use the idea of generating function for this. Consider this expression 1 by 1 minus x. This is equal to 1 plus x squared plus x cubed plus x power 4, etc. The number of ways you can have k ones in a partition is 1. So, you can have, say, for example 4, and you can split it as 2 plus 1. The number of ways you can have 2 ones in a partition is the coefficient of this. The number of ways we can have 3 ones is the coefficient of 1, and so on. So, in any partition, the number of ways we can have k ones is only one way. So, that is the coefficient of x power k here. Consider this. This is 1 plus x squared plus x power 4, and so on. The number of ways, if you split into 2 plus 2 or something like that, need not before some integer you want to split, the number of ways you can have, say 1 2 is the coefficient here, 2 2s is the coefficient here, 3 2s will be the coefficient here. You can have it in only one way. The number of ways you can have 1 3, this is x cubed plus x power 6, and so on. The number of ways you can have 1 3 is this, 2 3s will be the coefficient of this, and so on. So, in general, if you expand this, say take 1 by x into 1 minus x squared to 1 minus x cubed to 1 minus x power 4. Similarly, for 1 power 4, if you expand this, what will you get? 1 plus x squared, and so on. Those 3 terms are there. So, I will write for 1 by 1 minus x power 4, that is 1 plus x power 4 plus x power 8, and so on. This has meaning when you see, for example, when you consider the coefficient of x power 4, that will give you the value for correctly up to 4 only. If you consider for 5 and all that, that may not have any meaning when you do not, when you want to consider, see you want to consider partition of 4, then 5 and 6 the coefficient may not have any meaning. Because 4 you can say, if you take 4 you can split it like this, there is no way you can have 5 ones, right. So, when you consider integer n, powers greater than x power n do not have any meaning. So, let us consider this. So, if you consider the expansion of this, you have to multiply this. So, what will you get? You will get the constant term as 1, and the coefficient of x is, x can be multiplied with this and this. x squared, what will be the coefficient of x squared? You can take x squared from here and multiply with this, and you can take x squared from here and multiply with the one other. So, it will be 2x squared. What will be the coefficient of x cubed? You can pick x cubed from here and 1 from the other three, that is 1. You can take x squared, then you cannot multiply, so that is ruled out. If you take x and x squared and 1 from here, you get 1 value. If you take 1 and x cubed from here, you will get 1 value. So, that is 3. What will be the coefficient of x power 4? You can take x power 4 from here and 1 from here. You can take x power 4 from here, x power 4 from here, then x power 4 from here, 1 here, x power 4 from here, 1 here. You can take x squared and x squared from here. You can take x and x cubed from here. So, 5 ways of getting, and this 5 is the number of ways you can partition 4. This we have seen. How do we get this? See, you can have the 4 expressions are there. So, from the first you choose x power 4, and the second one you take the constant term, or you take x squared from here, from the first one, and x squared from here and constant term from here, or you take x from here and x cubed from here and constant term here, or you take x power 4 here and 1 from the other, or you take x power 4 from here and constant terms here. Okay, this amounts to the partitioning into ones only, having components 1, and this amounts to partition 1 plus 1 plus 2, and this amounts to partition 1 plus 3, and this amounts to partition 2 plus 2, and this amounts to partition 4. So, this coefficient will give you the number of ways you can partition an integer, and you can look at it as the partition of an integer is equivalent to the way of distributing n non-distinct object into n non-distinct cells. This can be graphically represented as with the dots, and that is known as Ferrer's graph. A Ferrer's graph consists of rows of dots. The dots are arranged in such a way that an upper row has at least as many dots as the lower row. So, suppose I take the number 14, it can be represented like this. A partition of an integer can be represented by a Ferrer's graph by making each row in the graph correspond to a part in the partition, with the number of dots in a row specifying the value of the corresponding part. For example, if you take 14 and split it like this, 6 plus 3 plus 3 plus 2, the Ferrer's graph corresponding to this is like this. First is 6, then 3, 3, 2. Usually you arrange in such a way that the upper row is longer than the lower row or equal. This gives you some interesting results. That is, if you have a number of partitions, the number of partition is 4, right? The maximum value you are having is 6. So, if you interchange this and look it in a slightly different way, you can see that the number of partitions of a number in which you have the maximum number is 6 is equivalent to the number of partitions where you can have, where the number is split into 6, like that, because you have to just interchange the rows and columns. So, some interesting properties can be derived from this Ferrer's graph. So, thus we have seen some enumerators as generating functions. We have seen the ordinary enumerator in the last lecture, and today we have seen the exponential enumerator, and this can be used for calculating the number of permutations of R objects out of n objects. And also we have seen how to distribute distinct objects into non-distinct cells and also non-distinct objects into non-distinct cells, which is known as partition of integers. Next we shall see a very simple principle. This is known as inclusion exclusion principle. Already we have informally seen this in when considered sets. Suppose you have a room in which there are 100 people. Out of them, say 50 of them know Tamil and 40 of them know English, and 20 of them know both English and Tamil. What is the number of people who do not know either Tamil or English? That you get like this: 100 minus 50 plus 40, but this 20 you have counted twice. So, you have to again add that 20. So, from this you subtract 50 plus 40, but while doing that you have subtracted this 20 twice because this is the intersection. So, you have to add that 20. So, that will be 100 minus 90 plus 20 will be 30. So, the number of people who do not know either Tamil or English is 30. This is in essence the principle of inclusion and exclusion. Let us see formally how we define this. Let A1 be the subset of objects of S which have property P1, and let A2 be the subset of objects of S which have property P2. Then A1 bar consists of those objects of S not having property P1, and A2 bar consists of those objects of S not having property P2. The objects of the set A1 bar intersection A2 bar are those having neither property P1 nor property P2, and that is given by this formula: number of elements in A1 bar intersection A2 bar is equal to number of elements in S minus number of elements in A1 minus number of elements in A2. But since you have considered the intersection, you have subtracted the intersection twice, you have to add it plus A1 intersection A2 bar. For example, here A2 is the number of people who know Tamil, and A1 is the number of people who know Tamil, A2 is the number of people who know English. Then from the whole set you have to subtract the number of people who know Tamil minus the number of people who know English, but you have to add the number of people who know both English and Tamil, and that will give you the number of people who do not know either Tamil or English in that example. You can generalize this. We have considered only two properties. You can generalize to m properties. Let P1, P2, Pm be m properties which each object in S may or may not have. Then for I is equal to 1 to m, let Ai be the subset of the objects of S which have property Pi. Then Ai intersection Aj is a subset of objects which have both the properties Pi and Pj and possibly others also. Ai intersection Aj intersection Ak is the subset of objects which have properties Pi, Pj and Pk and so on. Then the subset of objects having none of the properties is given by the formula A1 bar intersection A2 bar intersection Am bar. And what is the formula for this? That is what is given by the inclusion exclusion principle, shows how to count the number of objects in this set by counting the objects according to the properties they do have. You want to count the number of objects which do not have either of the property, any of the properties. And how do you calculate it? In terms of the number of elements having that property. You know the value of A1, you know the value of A2 and so on. So, from that how will you calculate? The number of objects in S which have none of the properties P1, P2, Pm is given by A1 bar intersection A2 bar etc. The number of elements in this set is equal to the total number of elements minus, there is one term missing here, it will be like this, number of elements A1 intersection A2 intersection Am bar equal to number of elements in S minus sigma I Ai plus sigma I comma j Aij having properties Ai and j, that is Ai, you can say Ai intersection Aj minus sigma I comma j comma k Ai intersection Aj intersection Ak and so on. This term is missing here. So, general term will be minus 1 power m A1 intersection A2 intersection Am. Here the first sum is over all integers I, the sum is over all integers I. Here you should take all integers Ij such that I not equal to j, all two combinations from the set 1 to m. Here you should take all the 3 combinations from 1 to m, where the first sum is over all integers I in 1 to m, the second sum is over all 2 combinations Ij of integers from 1 to m, and the third one is over all 3 combinations of Ijk from 1 to m and so on. So, alternatively it will be, this is plus then minus then plus then minus and so on. Suppose I have, instead of that example, we have Tamil, English, Hindi speaking people in a room, and the total number of people who do not know Tamil or English or Hindi, that is equal to the number of people in the room minus the number of people who know Tamil, the number of people who know English, the number of people who know Hindi, plus the number of people who know Tamil and English, plus the number of people who know English and Hindi, plus number of people who know Tamil and Hindi, minus the number of people who know Tamil, English and Hindi. So, alternatively it is minus plus etc. This is each sum taken, and here you are taking all 2 combinations, here taking all 3 combinations and taking the sum. Let us consider one example making use of this. Find the number of integers between 1 and 10,000 inclusive which are not divisible by 4, 5 or 6. You are considering numbers from 1 to 10,000 and numbers not divisible by 4, 5 or 6. Let us consider the number of numbers between 1 and 10,000 divisible by 4. How many numbers in this are divisible by 4? We can very easily see that if we divide this by 4, 2500 of them are divisible by 4. How many of them are divisible by 5? Divide this by 5, you get 2000. How many of them are divisible by 6? Divide this by 6, you will get 1666. How many of them are divisible by 4 and 5? That is 4 and 5, like this. That is 20. We divide that by 20, it is 500. How many of them are divisible by 5 and 6? You have to consider the divisibility by 30. That will be, if we divide by 30, it will be 3, 3, 3. How many of them are divisible by 4 and 6? You must consider divisibility by 12, that will be 8. If you divide this by 12, 8, then 3, then 3. So, how many of them are divisible by 4, 5 and 6? You have to consider divisibility by 60. Here you have to consider divisibility by 12, here 30, here 20. If you divide by 60, the number will be 1, 6. 100 divided by 60 is 1, 40, you will have 400, 360 again 400. So, the answer, numbers not divisible by 4, 5, 6 is from 10,000 you have to subtract the sum of 2,500 plus 2,000 plus 1666, but add these 3, that is 500 plus 333 plus 833, and then again subtract 166. What will that be? 2,500, 2,000, 1666 will add up to 6166, to which you have to also add 166. Then 500, 33 will add up to 1666. So, 10,000 you have to add 10,000 to this. So, 11,666 minus 6332 will give you 443, then 3, 5, 3. The answer is 5334. If you simplify this, the answer you get is 5334. So, between 1 and 10,000, the numbers which are not divisible by 4 or 5 or 6 is equal to 5334, 5334. Let us consider one more problem. A bakery sells chocolate, cinnamon and plain donuts, chocolate donuts, cinnamon donuts and plain donuts, and at a particular time has 6 chocolates, 7 cinnamon and 3 plain. If a box contains 12 donuts, how many different boxes of donuts are possible? This is a question. Let us see how you can apply principle of inclusion exclusion for this. So, you are having 6 chocolate. So, you are having 3 types of objects, A, B, C, and in A you are having 6 objects, in B you are having 7 and 3, in C you are having 3, out of which you have to select 12. In how many ways can you do this? Now, if you have unlimited number of them, and suppose you are having unlimited number, and then you want to select 12 of them, that is with unlimited repetition, it is given by the formula 3 plus 12 minus 1 by 12. That is without any limitation, if you repeat, this is given by this formula, this is 14 12, which is equal to 13 into 14 by 2, that is 91. But I can have only 6 A's, I cannot have more than 6 A's. So, suppose I have 7 A's, I have to subtract those selections where I have 7 or more A's. Suppose I select 7 A's, the remaining 5 can be selected from A, B and C. So, greater than 6 A's, the number of such combination is, you have to select the remaining 5 from this, from these 3 types of objects. So, 3 plus 5 minus 1 by 5, and that is 7 5, that is equal to 6 into 7 by 2, that is 21. If I have to also remove from this where I can have more than 6 B's. So, more than 7 B's, suppose I have 8 B's, then such a selection is not possible. So, from the total number of selection I have to subtract that. So, if I look into that, if I have more than 7 B's, 8 B's or more, the remaining 4 can be selected from this. So, that will be from all these 3. So, 3 plus 4 1 by 4, and that will be 6 4, which is equal to 5 into 6 by 2, which is 15. Similarly, if I select 4 or more C's, such a selection is not possible. So, I have to subtract from this then such a possibility, such selection, and that will amount to greater than 3 C's. 4 C's if I select, then the remaining 8 can be selected from this. So, that will be 3 plus 8 minus 1 by 8, that is equal to 10 by 8, which is equal to 9 into 10 by 2 is equal to 45. So, from 91 I have to subtract this, but I should in that case, using the principle of exclusion, I have to also consider whether if you have selected more than 6A, more than 7B or more than 3C, such combination should be again added using the principle of inclusion and exclusion. So, if you select more than 6A and more than 7B, such a selection is not possible, isn't it? You have to select only 12, and 7 plus 8 would mean 15, which is not possible. Suppose I select more than 6A and more than 4C, what will happen? That is, at least 7 A's I should select, more than 3 C's, 7 A's and 7 A's and 4 C's, that is 11 elements I have already chosen. The remaining one I can select as A, B or C. That can be done in 3 different ways. Now, if I select more than 7B and more than 3C, that is I have already selected 8 B's and 4 C's, 12 elements I have already selected. So, I cannot select any more A's. So, this can be done only in one way, and there is no way you can select more than 6A, more than 7B and more than 3C, this is 0. So, using the principle of inclusion exclusion, the answer will be 91 minus 21 plus 50 plus 45 plus 3 plus 1 plus 0 minus 0, which will be 91 minus 81 plus 4 equal to 14. The answer is 14, and you get like this. This problem you can also try using the idea of generating functions. I leave it as an exercise for you to try this using the idea of generating functions. So, in the last few lectures we have considered some principles from combinatorics: pigeonhole principle, permutation combination, distribution of objects into cells, distinct non-distinct objects, distinct non-distinct cells, generating functions, principle of inclusion exclusion, and so on. Making use of these generating functions also, we can consider recurrence relations and recursive functions, which will be our next topic.